Hey guys, welcome back. Houston Math Prep here. In this video, we're going to look at solving linear inequalities. When we solve linear inequalities, we're going to treat our inequality symbol, whichever of the four we may have, just like an equal sign and work to isolate the variable. So, to begin, I'm going to start by collecting my x's on one side of the inequality symbol. So I'm going to start off by subtracting 2x from both sides. Just like we do with an equation, whatever we do to one side of the inequality, we need to do to the other. So on the left-hand side, that leaves me with 7 plus 3 minus 2 is 1x, being greater than or equal to -5. Now that I have all my variables on one side, I'm going to work to isolate that variable. So to do that here, I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. So that leaves me with the statement x is greater than or equal to -5 minus 7 is -12. So now that we've isolated our inequality or our variable in our inequality, we have something that we know how to graph and we know how to give in interval notation. So I'm going to start by drawing myself a number line so that I can graph my solution there. Right in the middle of my number line, I'm going to put my value, so that's -12. And then from there, I'm going to decide where I need to shade. So because this statement reads x is greater than or equal to -12, I'm going to want to shade above -12 or to the right, remembering that all the way to the right is positive infinity. I also need to put some sort of closure on -12, so since this is a greater than or equal to, I'm going to put a closed or filled in dot. Okay, so there is my solution drawn on a number line. Now I also want to use that plus my knowledge of inequalities to write my answer in interval notation. So remember, when we write in interval notation, if we've got a graph, we can go ahead and use the boundaries that we see from left to right. So that is -12 and positive infinity. Because -12 has a closed dot, it's going to be matched with a parenthesis saying that -12 is included in our solution. And positive and negative infinity are ideas, not things that can be included. So we're going to go ahead and close with a parenthesis. All right, let's do that same thing again. Let's look at another example. So first thing I see is I've got some things that could be cleaned up here. So I'm going to start off by using my distributive property on my 5 here and on my 4 over here. So distributing that 5, I get 5x minus 15 minus 7x is greater than 4 times x is 4x minus 12 plus 3. Now on both sides I've got some like terms that I can go ahead and combine. So combining my 5x and my -6 or 7x, I have -15 minus 2x is greater than, on the right hand side I have -12 and positive 3, so that leaves me with 4x minus 9. All right, now I want to start gathering my variables onto one side of my equal sign. So I'm going to do that by adding 2x to both sides. So -15 is greater than 6x minus 9. And now that I've got all of my variables on one side, I want to bring my constants over. So adding 9 to both sides gives me -6 is greater than 6x. Last but not least, I want to isolate that variable by dividing by 6. And so my inequality statement that I end up with, I'm going to bring it up here, is -1 is greater than x. Now this is the first time we've seen the variable on the right-hand side. Doesn't matter which side the variable is on, we can still graph this. we can still write it in interval notation. So giving myself a number line and plopping -1 right there. When I read this out loud, -1 is greater than x, or again, think about the pointy part points to the small thing. So this is the same statement as x is less than -1. So -1 greater than x, or x less than -1, those are the same statements. So either way, I'm going to be shading below or to the left of -1, down towards -infinity. Because I have a strictly less than and not equal to, I'm going to be putting an open circle here over my -1. So that makes an interval notation of, thinking left to right, -infinity up to -1. We know that -infinity always gets a parenthesis closure, and in this case, -1 has an open circle, so it also gets a parenthesis closure. All right, guys, that does it for this video. We'll catch you in the next one.